So
Yeah.
there we go. So we're recording. So got it off to a late start due to technical issues, but now here we are. So why don't you start it out and let me know what you want to talk about today.
I want to talk about two aspects now. Like I want to talk about life events as well as OCD.
Okay.
So first of all, I'm going to start off with let's start off with life events if you don't mind, or OCD. What do you want? What do you?
It's up to you. Whatever you want to start with.
Let me start with life events usually. So usually that was a core problem for me in the beginning. So when I was in my childhood, as I've always told you, I was bullied a lot. So in those situations, I had a lot of, like, I have to do something, or I have to take action, or I have to talk through stuff, or I have to hit someone who is bullying me. But I couldn't do all of that. So you talk about acceptance, and you talk about like usually if there is no danger, you talk about acceptance, right? So acceptance is the solution if there's no like danger. But in this situation, in bullying situations, it seems there's not a lot of danger as well. Like physical hurt usually it was like through through talk. Like they used to just not physically, they used to bully me mentally, emotionally. So
Yeah.
like if I don't intervene, if I don't take action, they might still bully me like for years, like emotionally. So what do you think might be like in I suffer it right now as well. So in this moment with people all around me, they want some sort of reaction from me. Otherwise, it will prolong. Like they will not stop bullying me, or they will not mock me, or so I have this uneasy feeling that I need to do something about these situations. Otherwise, it'll mess up my life, or the situation might grow, and something bad will happen. That was the core feeling underneath. Like I have to do something about the situation. Otherwise, if I don't do and the other part is, if I don't do something, I'm a loser. So that's other aspect of that.
Yeah.
So in the same situation, I have two sorts of feeling that are conflicting, and it really messed up like 10 years of my life, just this feeling. So I believe that this feeling was the core reason for my OCD as well.
Yeah.
Let's start.
Yeah. So let's just look at that.
Yeah.
So the first thing is that right now, the only, in my view, the only thing that's useful to look at is what's happening right now.
Okay.
And so you can see that right now, I mean, I can't see everything in the room, but it doesn't appear that there's anybody else there who's bullying you at the moment.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So right now, it's what you can do is you notice how you try to solve this problem that's non-existent right now.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so even when you're by yourself and there's nobody bullying you, you still try to solve this problem. You review what has happened and what you should do, and you research things, and you think about it, and that is what I think you can start by looking at. Is just right now, nobody's bullying me, and right now, I'm trying to solve this problem, but the problem isn't happening right now.
Yeah.
So then what you can look at is, what am I doing right now? Because when you're trying to solve this non-existent problem, then you're suffering.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you notice that you're suffering and there's not an actual problem right now, what you can do is look at what are you doing, and you can most likely you'll see that you give a lot of attention to thoughts.
Yeah.
Right? The thoughts are proposing solutions to the problem. The thoughts say, maybe if you do this instead, then you'll solve the problem. Maybe if you work out, then you'll solve the problem. Maybe if you run a marathon, you'll solve the problem. Maybe if you become really successful, you'll solve the problem. You know, all of these things. Maybe if I learn the best one-liners, or maybe if I take martial art, maybe This is all these solutions, right? It's always proposing solutions. Maybe I'll just avoid them. Maybe I'll go somewhere else. Maybe I'll move to another country. And all of these thoughts you give attention to, but the problem isn't happening right now. So you don't actually have to solve the problem right now.
Okay.
So to me, that's the first step, is just when you notice that there isn't actually a problem right now, particularly when you're just by yourself, start to notice how you give attention to these thoughts. I mean, even now as we're talking, you hope to find a solution to the problem, right?
Yeah, sure. Not right now.
Yeah. So,
like,
yeah.
Now it's peaceful, but when I'm in those situations, when I'm with strangers, or when I'm with bullies, so I think of those situations, and I think that, okay, then what should I do? Like, if I'm in that situation with all the people who are bullying me, and they expect me to, like, they expect me to suffer a lot. So, but
yeah,
I expect myself to, like, at least defend myself. So I think about that, like,
yeah.
no. So what can I do?
Yeah, but yeah, but of course. But that's what I mean, is that you try to solve that problem even when it's not happening.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you notice that you're trying to solve that problem and it's not happening, then just notice how you do it. There's a focus on the thoughts, and be willing to let that go. So even right now, as we're speaking, you just be honest about how if there's any small amount of hope that somehow you're going to come up with the answer to this problem, so that when you're in these situations, you won't have the problem. Right now, be willing just to let that go. Okay. And don't try to solve the problem right now.
Okay.
Because if you can practice, it's harder. The reason I'm saying this is I understand that it's not as intense when you're by yourself as it is when you're with other people.
Yeah.
But it's easier when you're by yourself to notice the subtleties of how you focus on the thoughts. And if you can become practiced at letting go of that and allowing the feelings of discomfort to be here when you're by yourself, then you'll have a better chance when you're with other people of being able to start doing the same. So then you can now start to look at, when you're in these situations with other people, and let's choose a situation where nobody's actually bullying you, but you feel maybe nervous that you might be bullied. Okay. So there's no actual problem happening, right? Nobody's bullying you, but you feel nervous that somebody might be bullying you because there are other people. Yeah. So then you can start to notice, even in your imagination now, when you're in that kind of situation, notice where you give your attention. Where does your attention go?
My attention goes to what. Okay, when this all okay, who are the people who might bully me, or where are the people that might have that might bully me, or yeah, that might be my thinking. I'm uneasy now. I might be bullied, or so this is dangerous. This will get dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you can just notice now, as you're imagining that situation, what it feels like to give your attention to all of those thoughts. And it's stressful, right? It's stressful to be on alert, wondering where might the danger be? Who's going to hurt me? Who's going to do this to me? What should I do? Should I be guarded? Should I run away? Should I go in the corner? Should I leave? What do I do? How do I protect myself? And so it's very stressful, but actually there's no problem, right? Nobody's doing anything. So in your imagination right now, you can notice what it might be like in that situation, and you can even feel it a little bit, have a sense of, what it would be like just to let go. Allow all of those thoughts and concerns and worries to be here, but don't do anything about them. Don't try to solve the problem, because the problem it's not real, right? It doesn't exist right now. It might exist in the future, and that's what you're concerned about, but right now it doesn't exist, so don't try to solve it now.
One more, can you be more specific about allowance or letting go? I know we talked about this earlier, but in this context, what do you mean by allow, or allow the feelings and let go of some of the let go? For example, let go.
Yeah. So you notice, yeah. So when you are, you can imagine right now what it's like when you're in this situation. There are other people around, and you feel, you have feelings that you don't want, right?
Yeah.
Uncomfortable feelings, and then you try to do something about them, right? You're trying to solve you perceive the feeling as a problem, so you're trying to get rid of the feeling. And you think about it, and you focus on the thoughts, which are all proposed solutions for getting rid of the feeling, right? So you can notice that the quality of that experience, your actual felt experience, has a quality of tension to it. Do you feel that?
What do you mean by tension? Yeah.
Yeah. So try this. I want you to I want you to multiply 15 times 38 in your head. And the main thing I want you to pay attention to is the quality of this experience as you're focusing on trying to solve the problem.
Okay. That's 570.
It's what?
570. You mean the quality of experience, right? Okay.
The quality, yeah, the quality of the experience.
I was really focused on the numbers and what Dean is doing.
But do you have a sense of how it feels to try to solve that problem?
Yeah.
How would you describe the quality of that experience?
It was I was concentrating on quality. It's kind of hard. I never I was figuring out how can I make the problem easy. So I was making. Should I tell you how I came up with the solution or the experience?
This is the experience. So let's try another one, just so you can pay attention to the quality of the experience itself. So notice right now, let's try it in contrast to that. I want you to just be at ease. Just whatever is going on in your mind, just drop it for a moment.
Okay.
Just feel your whole body just be kind of heavy, relaxed, lazy. Even inside of your head, it's really lazy. It's no effort at all. Just totally relaxed. Just for a second, just like that. Just drop it all just for a second. So you have a sense of what that's like?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now I want you to solve this problem. 21 times 18. And notice what you do, how you produce this experience, the quality of this experience in contrast to the relaxation.
Okay, I try to focus on multiplication. It's kind of tough.
Well, try to solve the problem. Try to solve this problem. 21 times 18 by while remaining totally at ease and making no effort. Not even to focus. So notice to focus requires effort. So don't even focus and see if you can solve the problem.
I got the solution, but what I can say is I try to I try to look for I don't know. It's still now what I can say is that I was putting effort into it's not even effort, it's actually like I'm really sorry, I can't explain what's happening.
That's okay. So my experience is that in order to focus on something, if I'm trying to solve a problem of any kind, I have to focus on it. Would you agree that that's your experience?
Yeah, sure. That's what I was going to tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to focus on. Yeah.
Yeah. So this focus requires a certain amount of effort, because if you don't put any effort into it whatsoever, at least this is my experience, I don't seem to be able to focus without any effort. If I make no effort, then I'm completely at rest. So to focus is all it's the sense is there's a movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's subtle, but what I'm saying is that if you can sense the effort required in order to focus on something,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm referring to when I say the tension.
Okay.
It's the effort. There's this subtle contraction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So what you can notice is when you're in this situation and there are people around and you begin to be concerned,
Mm-hmm.
notice that it requires effort. You have to put effort into it.
Mm-hmm.
And for most of your life, it's been automatic, right? And I understand that. So at first it seems like it's not effort because it just happens. But it's like if you're walking, at first walking doesn't seem like any effort,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's so simple. It's very seems effortless. But if you walk for 10 miles, then you start to feel that there's some effort involved, right? It becomes more obvious. So so if you just start to pay attention, though, from the very beginning, you can notice the subtle effort. And it's the same here. So the point is you've been automatically responding in this way by resisting what's happening in your own experience. But it requires effort in order to do that. You're trying to solve the problem. It requires effort.
Mm-hmm.
So start to pay attention to how you make that effort. Just a moment. I gotta see what's going on in the other room. I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure.
So my dog is having a hard time, but I think maybe she's figuring it out. So so this effort, when you're in that situation, just see if it's possible to start to not make the effort.
Mm-hmm.
Because you notice that all that effort is the real suffering, right? Because nothing else is happening. Nobody's actually bullying you. Nobody's doing anything, but you are having this internal experience of suffering. So it must be something you're doing. And if you start to pay attention to what it is that you do to make this effort to focus on the thoughts, trying to get rid of or contain or manage the feeling.
Can I give you an example of those? Like what my thoughts? You can correct me if they're wrong. So, what I usually think is, for example, if I'm lonely, for example, in college, if I don't have friends to hang around, I'll be judged. Like if I walk alone, I'll be judged. Or I'll be thinking, oh, now I'm alone, so they might judge me, or they might be thinking I'm a loser, or these are all the kinds of focus you're talking about.
Yeah.
Things. Yeah, these are all the thoughts you're okay. So
yeah, because you're trying to solve a problem, right? You're trying to protect yourself so that you can get rid of this feeling, right? There's an uncomfortable feeling. You're saying there's a feeling of this feeling of being alone.
Mm-hmm.
To you is an uncomfortable feeling. Mm-hmm. It feels vulnerable, because if you're with other people and you have friends and you feel that everybody looks at you and they say that guy is a winner, mm-hmm. then you feel safe. Mm-hmm. But when you walk by yourself, then you feel alone, which to you feels unsafe, because then other people might hurt you. They might judge you. They might say mean things to you.
Yeah.
So it's this sense of aloneness or vulnerability that you're trying to get rid of. But in order to get rid of it, you're generating all of this suffering, the suffering of focusing on how to solve the vulnerability, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which is all of the worry about people might be judging me, somebody might say something mean to me, somebody might come and bully me, I'm a loser, other people think I'm a loser. All of this is trying to solve the problem, because if you have the idea that if you continue to focus on these thoughts, mm-hmm. somehow they're going to present the solution. That's always the hope. If I keep focusing on the thoughts, somehow it's going to save me from this unwanted feeling. Mm-hmm. But it just doesn't work. So the only thing that I know to do is to stop making all of that effort and just allow. I mean, the thing to understand is that then all you'll be left with is the feeling of aloneness and discomfort and vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And you'll continue to want to get rid of that for as long as you do. Mm-hmm. But if you continue to allow it by not giving attention to any of these proposed solutions, you start to have a different experience, a different relationship with that feeling. And then maybe it doesn't
bother you a lot.
You don't have a problem with it any longer.
Mm. The solutions are the thoughts, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, there are probably other types of solutions. Even just physically remaining tense is a kind of solution, mm-hmm. right? It's a way just to keep yourself guarded. There are certain physical postures that are solutions, mm-hmm. but the thoughts are a big part of the solutions that we're always proposing, and so we focus on them, hoping that it's going to help, but it doesn't.
Okay. So let's just assume I am in that bullying situation. So they are bullying.
Yeah.
If I don't take action, then they'll keep bullying me. That's for sure. So
maybe. Yeah. So in that situation, the problem is, again, that you're trying to solve a problem that you can't solve. Okay. Right. I mean, that's why it's so. That's why bullying is such a horrible thing, because it's hurtful, and we're powerless to do anything about it. I mean, that's the nature of a bully, is that the bully has the power and we don't. I know what that's like. I've been bullied plenty in my life, and so I understand how horrible that can be. But the problem is, every time you try to solve that, it doesn't actually solve it, right?
Yeah, it might. Like, I've seen videos of one guy hitting that guy, so another time he left him alone. So it might, like, I assume it might. So
yeah, of course. I mean, that's what keeps us going, is that we always think, I'm going to find that solution. But what I mean is, in your actual experience up to now,
no,
you haven't found the answer.
I actually, if I try to solve that, or if I try to get rid of that, if I like talk to bully, the bullying increased. So it
Yeah.
actually magnified a lot. So in my experience, it didn't serve a purpose. So I was always like bullied a lot, even though I
Yeah.
tried to get rid of that. Even though I talked, or even though I tried to like argue with bullies, or
Yeah.
happened for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have the answer to the bullying problem. I do understand how unpleasant it can be, and if I had the answer, I would give it to you. And there may be an answer. It's true, but meanwhile, since you don't have the answer,
Okay.
what you can do is you can look at what are you doing. Let's say that in this situation, there's X percent of the suffering that you experience is because of the bully,
Mm-hmm.
and Y percent of your suffering is what you generate.
Okay.
So you can't control X, but you can control Y.
Mm-hmm.
So since you can just acknowledge that in all of these years, it's been many years of dealing with bullying.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of an expert,
Yeah, sure.
and you haven't come up with the answer for your experience of bullying. So you just have to tell the truth. You don't know the answer, and you don't have a whole lot of hope for coming up with the answer for X.
Yeah.
So just leave that alone.
Mm.
But when it comes to why, that's what I would focus on, and it's what you haven't looked at so much up to now. So in that situation, the hard part is just to keep your attention on why instead of on X, because you're going to want to focus on X. Say, I got to solve that problem.
Mm.
But you can't. You don't know how to solve it. And you can also see that as painful as it is, and as scary as it is, like you said, for the most part, nobody's physically harming you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the worst you're going to have to endure is people just being mean to you. And it's obviously, it's not nice when people are mean, and it's hurtful, and it's sad, and I don't like it. But on the other hand, if there's nothing you can do about it, then just take a look at what you can do something about. And it's the same process. So as they're bullying you, just notice what it is that you're doing that you do have a choice in. Up to now, you haven't had a choice because you were doing it automatically. So I can tell you in my experience of bullying, having been bullied, I've experienced the bullying starts, and then I experienced like it's the same kind of tension. There's an effort that I exert trying to protect myself from this, and so I focus on the thoughts. What am I going to say? What am I going to do? How can I protect myself against this? This isn't right. I need to show him. And I can feel that in my body as a physical tension as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do in that situation, and I'm not saying you should do this, but it's what I would do, is I would just take a look at what happens if I let go of all of that and just acknowledge what's really happening. What's really happening here, this person's saying something to me, has a particular quality to it. It feels scary, feels hurtful. But what if I just let that be? What if I don't do anything about it? Their thoughts, I don't need to give any particular attention to them because they haven't really solved the problem. That's all. And in fact, like you say, when most of that stuff, when you actually act on it, makes things worse. I mean, that's usually how bullies work. I like I said, I know because I mean, even into my even as an adult, even into my late 20s, I was having confrontations with bullies that would just come out of nowhere. I mean, and if I would say anything, then they would step it up and start threatening to physically assault me. So, so I don't know the solution to the bully problem. I mean, maybe there's somebody out there who has the answer to that. I don't. But the only thing I know is that in my experience, when I just look at what am I doing that's contributing to my experience of suffering. So this person over here who's bullying me is doing what they're doing. It's harmful, it's hurtful, it's painful, it's scary, but I can't control that. Let's say even if that's 75% of the suffering, there's still 25% of the suffering left. At least I can look at that. Maybe I find that actually it's more like 50% of the suffering. So then that's a lot. Maybe it's even 75% of the suffering that I'm doing. Who knows? But whatever amount it is, if I start to look at it, then I find that I can let go of that. And by let go, I mean let go of the effort. So not let go as in get rid of, but just allow the feelings that are happening, because there naturally will be feelings. It's scary. I'll feel fear. I'll feel anger.
You're a human being. That'll happen.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely perfectly natural. It's a very natural response to confrontation to feel fear and anger. Yeah. And those emotions provoke a desire to respond in an effective way. Mm-hmm. But then we end up feeling frustrated and fighting against ourselves when we don't have an effective way to respond. That's the danger. I mean, if we were, I'm a big guy. If I learned how to fight and we lived in a culture where that was an acceptable thing, then I would have a way to deal with bullies, an effective way to deal with bullies. So then the anger that the bully would provoke would result in the positive outcome. I'd kick his ass. But the problem is, of course, we live in a culture where that's not okay. It's also just not my personality. So I have to learn how to allow the anger and the fear to be here without responding in that way, because the fear and anger in this case don't they don't have an outlet through that kind of expression. So I just have to allow them by not doing anything about them. What we normally do is we either try to act it out or we suppress. And so what I'm proposing is a third alternative, which is to do nothing and just to allow it. So it doesn't solve the bullying problem, but it might resolve at least part of the suffering.
Sure. So since we're talking about people now, I want to there's a quick question on that. There are people, usually we categorize people as good and bad, right? So we have to be aware with bad people so that we'll always be positive and we'll have success in life. So that's the common theme everywhere we hear. So you have to always get rid of the people who are suppressing you. Those are not good. You'll always suffer a lot, and you'll always be down and you'll do nothing in life. That's the common sense. So I talked with you a few times, and you always talk about always accepting them as well. Whoever is bullying or who is giving you a bad experience, to accept them as well and be equal to all of them, right?
I don't know that I would. Sure. I mean, I don't know that I don't recall having said exactly those words, but yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So
the main thing I would say is, why give any attention to that? Because you don't know what their business is. You don't know who they are. Mm-hmm. You don't know their life. You don't know their motivations. You don't know what's going on. It's such a again, it's not that it's wrong. It's just that I notice in my experience, it's just a huge drain on my energy to be involved in their business in that way and trying to figure out, who is this person? Are they good or are they bad? Should I reject them or should I accept them? What should I do? Right? It's such a huge waste of energy. Whereas if I say accept, I don't mean you have to like them. I don't mean you have to give them money. I don't mean you have to be their friend. You don't have to do what they say. You don't. I mean, it has nothing to do with that. It's just about, why get involved in their business when you can't know their business? It's a waste of time.
You believe that like getting rid of those people and being with positive people, like successful people, will make you successful? Like, that's the common thing?
Well, it depends on your definition of success. If you want, it certainly does seem to be true that if you want whatever it is that you want, if you surround yourself with that, then you have it. So, if you wanted to be a Hollywood actor, you'd probably be best off moving to Hollywood and surrounding yourself by Hollywood types. If you're wanting to be a business mogul, surround yourself by those people. If you want to be a politician, surround yourself by those people. That makes sense in many ways, right? I mean, just a very logical thing. But it depends on what your definition of success is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah,
it'll be different. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to talk about one last thing, that is selfish. So it was always been bothering me. Like, for example, if you take chefs, they don't give the recipe off to others. Otherwise, their business will be lost. So they are selfish there. That's no problem for them. That's okay for them. So when you talk about, like, even in India as well, in colleges, and a lot of students are really, really selfish. They don't even give away one thing. So even the notes what they have taken down. So
yeah.
So, like, do you think that's suffering? Do you think selfishness is suffering? Because if like, common theme is, if you're not selfish, you'll not be successful, because others will be more successful than them using your resources if you give away them. So that's the common theme.
It depends on the definition of success. If the goal is to make a lot of money,
mm-hmm.
Then having some protection over intellectual property rights seems to be the name of the game. But you didn't ask that. You asked, is that suffering? And I would say, in my experience, it is. So that's why I think it depends on your definition of success.
Let's say information, simple information. For example, whatever you do, like, for example, a lot of people would not give it away. You might be giving it. But for example, a good thought, or even like a small tip to make money, or a small information about a book, even those are really, people don't give it away. So what do you think of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, other people's business is their business, so I can't speak about that, but I can just speak about my experience. And my experience is that it's something that I struggle with, and there's a conflict there, because it's true that the conditioning, I like many people these days, I went to school, I was taught a definition of success, and I was taught that was the thing to go for. Mm-hmm. And that involves a lot of competition, secretiveness, a lot of hiding, on so many levels, right? Because there's an image. It's not even just about making money, it's also about an image. It's about presenting a particular image of success. Mm-hmm. I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm never depressed, I don't have anger problems, I'm not afraid of anything, I'm confident, I'm whatever. I mean, all of these things, it's an image of success. And that's as important, if not more important, than the money piece for success. And in terms of, you know, creativity, you know, that's all part of my conditioning. And then I've started to discover that that was suffering. So then my challenge has been how to let go of that. You know, how to be how to be totally honest and open, and not also lose the ability to feed myself and my family.
Okay.
And it's a process, like all these things, you know, we're conditioned, and then we undo the conditioning. That's all.
So you say that, okay, maybe you might be selfish in some things, but 90% of the time selfishness doesn't work. That's what you're saying, right?
Right. That's been my experience. Yeah.
Okay. Another thing is life's purpose. So people talk about your life's purpose is not about just feeding yourself and like just doing a job or owning a business. It's about giving back, or like doing something that's for example, what you're doing, like helping others, or it might be simple thing as helping others or helping the poor. Your life should be broader than just making a living. So you need to be able to be in a position where you can help others as well. So what do you make of that? There are a lot of people who just feed themselves and die. That's it. Do you think that's the way to life, or you have to always think that you have to provide value so that you are more worthy?
All I can say is what my experience is, and my experience is that that those are flip sides of the same coin, and it's suffering either way. Because then I'm bound either way. I'm bound to get for myself and to be anxious that I'm not going to have enough for myself, or I'm anxious because I'm maybe anxious isn't the right word, but the flip side is if I'm giving, then either it's false. I mean, it's false in the sense that I don't really desire it.
Okay.
Or, you know, there's something there, or in any case, even if it's truthful, it can't always be truthful. So there's still a bondage to that. Again, I'm only speaking in my own experience, a bondage to this identity as either the one who needs for himself all the time, or the one who's always charitable. But neither of those captures who I am. I mean, because in my actual experience is that from moment to moment, it's always different. I mean, I can't know. Some moments I'm generous, and other moments I'm not.
That's for sure, that we are human beings. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything might be suffering. So okay, let's say you have $4 billion, $5 billion.
Be nice.
Then there was a man who is donating like 99% of his wealth, who says that you have to live like, I have so much money, so I'm giving away 99% of my wealth. That's who I am, and that's how I feel fulfillment. That's what others should do as well, because you don't have to save a lot of money. You have to do something for society. So if you have more than what you have, I think that's the right idea to give it away. Don't you think so? Like you have said the answer to that, but like again, I'm asking you, if you have more than what you have, for example, money.
I don't think that it doesn't, to me, it doesn't seem possible to know that in advance.
Okay.
I mean, to me, it's all of that is still. I mean, even to give attention to that, to be honest with you, is a kind of suffering, because why would I want to do that? Why would I want to give attention to this hypothetical problem of, if I had $4 billion, then should I give away 99% of it? Because then it's all, there's an anxiety there of, am I doing the right thing? Am I good enough? Am I doing the wrong thing? Am I not good enough? And what I could do instead, what's preferable to me and more pleasurable, is just to give attention to exactly that anxiety, and just to allow it instead of trying to do anything about it, because all the effort involved is unnecessary. All this effort of trying to solve the problem of the anxiety. So I experience anxiety, and then I invent the proposed solution, which is, if I had $4 billion, I'd give away 99% of it, and then I wouldn't have the anxiety. Then I would only feel the way I want to feel. But actually, I find I could just make peace with the anxiety. I can just allow the anxiety without doing anything about it, without making any effort.
So what about the decision then? If you like, if you want to make a decision, like to give it away or not, if you are in that position, or for example, I've talked about my job, right? I've sent you. Right now, I'm in a position to I have to get a job now, or because what's happening is I'm a fresher now. That means I'm fresh out of college. I just have 1 year time to get a job. Afterwards, there'll be another set of freshers, 2017 freshers. So I might not get a job then. So that's the real, like, I have to make a decision now. So if there's a point in time where you have to make a decision, like that you may say the decision should be taken in a form where there is no rejection. So if you are not rejecting your feeling, then you might have a lot of paths. Like there might be different, like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, the first step is to stop rejecting yourself. Then you look at different opportunities. Then whatever feels right, just do it, right?
It doesn't necessarily feel right, but all I'm saying, I mean, you know, I have 3 young children, so taking care of them is a priority for me. You know, making sure that they have food and shelter, that's important. And I may not, the options available to me may not always feel good or feel right in order to be able to provide for them. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I do isn't my preference. I don't particularly enjoy using a computer.
Okay.
But using a computer is a part of what I do, and part of, you know, that's one way in which I help to provide for them. So so I don't know that feeling right is the guide. All I'm suggesting is, again, I can only speak about my experience, but my experience is, if I try to solve the problem of my feeling,
okay,
right? So I say my feeling is a problem. There's a feeling I don't like. It's a problem, and I need to solve it. Then all of this attention is being used trying to solve this problem.
okay.
And so all of my energy is being wasted trying to solve the problem with my feeling. Meanwhile, I still have to feed my family. Whether I'm fighting with my feeling or not, I still have to feed my family. So to me, it's just a question of, am I going to fight with my own experience or not? And so the feeling that I have, I may still not like the feeling. I may still not feel this great joy and you know, enjoyment in sitting at the computer and doing the work that helps to make the money to feed my family. But I can also be at peace with whatever feeling is here. Because the alternative is that I'll still have the feeling, I'll still be doing the work, but I'll also be fighting with it. So then the end of the day comes, and then, in my view, I'm not even going to talk about other people. It's been my experience that when I've done that, that's why I needed then to go out and have a drink or smoke a joint or go watch porn or go watch a movie. I needed to do these things because they gave me that temporary relief because I had been fighting with my own experience the whole day. So to me, it makes so much more sense. Just don't fight with your experience.
The theme I'm understanding right now is you don't have hold of your situation anytime in your life. So one thing you have in your hand is just to accept whatever is happening and do whatever it feels right for the moment and just go with it. So you don't know what are the consequences of your decision, but what you can do is just accept what's happening.
You can primarily I'm interested in just accepting my own experience. That's it, right? I mean, because I don't know I don't know the culture in India.
Okay.
I've never been to India. I don't know. I mean, the way you describe it, I'm getting the sense that the job market is very competitive.
It's very competitive,
and that you need to is different here. At least my experience of working in the United States is different from what you're describing in India.
very competitive here. 1 billion people here, so.
Yeah, right. And so maybe it is the case that, as you say, that if you're going to get a job, maybe you need to get the job right away. I don't know. I couldn't say about that because I don't have enough information. But even if that's the case, I do know the human experience, and I know that you have the choice of if you're going to get a job or not, whatever it is that you do, you do have this choice, which is fight with your own experience or be at peace with your own experience. So you can not get a job and then be at peace with the discomfort that you experience, or you can get a job and be at peace with the discomfort that you experience. Or you could do either of those and fight with your own experience. And then I know what the outcome of that would be. It would be suffering. It's miserable.
Yeah. So can I talk about OCD now? Because
sure.
That's the last part. Yeah. So you talked about a lot of it, but I just want to focus on like that one part where you talk about shifting the focus of your experience. Like you have this compulsions to focus on the compulsions, like whatever the thoughts are happening, because you can't let go of those thoughts.
Yeah.
That'll be happening. So you're always shifting the focus towards the thoughts and, oh, I need to figure out the way. Why am I not suffering? Or why I should focus on my thoughts. I should focus on whatever it is. So another thing is you talk about letting go, and okay, letting go means letting go of that whatever the tension you're feeling there. But you also talk about shifting the focus. You talk about focusing on your body parts, scanning your body, and also shifting on other things. So it was actually helpful for me, not to a very large extent, but when I think about I can let go, or I can shift my focus to other things. I don't know, something might happen, and I usually like really let go of that feelings, and there's no suffering at all sometimes. 80 to 90% of the times. Another before that, when I didn't have that information, I used to always fight with those thoughts. So I need to focus on the compulsions, or why am I not focusing on my thoughts? I need to focus on them, and I can't let go of them. when I got the information that I can shift the focus at least 80 to 90%, I still have that 10% of that anxiety. That's there. That's
sure. Yeah.
So I just need more information about like shifting the focus. What do you mean? What how can I like let whatever is happening in me and let whatever compulsions happening, let them be there, and how can I shift my focus?
Yeah. Well, so my experience has been that the so okay, I'll give you a specific example. So, and I know it's not the same. It's not the same specifics as your experience, but I think you'll be able to relate to it. So one of the biggest concerns that I used to have would be thinking of certain things that were forbidden. So, for example, McDonald's. It was one of my rules. I was forbidden to think of McDonald's.
Okay.
So when I would think of McDonald's, of course, since it was forbidden, I would think of it many times every day.
Like you thought that was forbidden to think of like McDonald's? That's just
for me, yeah. I mean, I just was afraid of it, so I had a rule for myself that I should not think of it.
Okay.
And so if I thought of it, which I would many times each day, then I would feel that I had to wash my hands in order to cancel it out. So I felt I had to wash my hands and then count to a certain number. The number would change over time, but let's say 12. So I have to wash my hands and rub my hands together 12 times.
Okay.
Okay. So this was so that what I noticed is when I would try not to wash my hands and count to 12, that I would have a feeling that was very intense, like a lot of pressure building up inside of me.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't restrain myself from washing my hands and counting to 12 for very long. I could maybe do it for a minute and then I would feel overwhelmed. So what I started to pay attention to was this pressure, this sensation of, it's the compulsion that I must wash my hands. How do I create that? Because it must be me creating it, right? I mean, if nobody's doing it to me, all that happens is I think a thought and then all of a sudden, so I must be doing it. So I started to pay attention, how am I doing it? And what I noticed was that I was trying, that compulsion, that pressure was building up because I was trying to contain or manage this big feeling. And so what I started to do is experiment with not doing that. So for me, I could notice that focusing on thoughts a lot, even focusing on the thought, I need to wash my hands, I need to wash my hands, I need to wash my hands, I need to wash my hands. I can't stand the feeling I have to wash my hands. Don't think of McDonald's, don't think of McDonald's, don't think of McDonald's. So that focus was a way in which I was trying to control the feeling. And that focus, it's like what we were talking about earlier, there's an effort necessary to do that. So I started to just take a look at how do I do that focus? How do I make that effort? And can I relax that? And what I noticed was that for me, and I'm not saying this was true for you, but what I found for me was that there's a kind of subtle tension inside of my head that I have to use in order to focus on the thoughts. And if I relax that tension, then the thoughts just happen. And for me, the thoughts would happen really fast. And my head would feel like it was racing. And my whole body would start to buzz a little bit, and it was scary. So that was what I had been trying to control by focusing, because by focusing and using that kind of effort, that tension, it was as if I could contain and slow everything down.
So
And when I would,
can I stop? Like, I want to ask, like, you talked about focusing, right? Can you please repeat again, like, what type of focus you're like, you like, how did you focus on that thoughts? Like,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, rather, so again, the way that I focused on thoughts was by through a subtle kind of tension in my head.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I experience it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't know how you experience it, but I'm having spoken with quite a few people who've struggled with OCD. It seems to be a very common thing that the obsession and the compulsion both serve as a way to try to control something or contain something, and so and it always seems to involve some kind of effort. So I don't know how you experience it, but maybe you could just look right now and see, look at your own experience.
I I don't feel like a lot of tension in my body. Like, I can feel subtly.
Yeah.
Might be really subtle. I might not observe it a lot, but like, usually when I'm like in my, for example, if I'm walking down the road, there is something happened, a bus came, or I can feel a lot of tension in my body, in my legs or in my ankles, and I don't feel that when I'm having these obsessions or intrusive thoughts.
Okay.
So that's why it's very tough for me to really like get aware of where the tension.
Yeah. Well, tell me where. So you have the experience, right? You have the obsession.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. The main thing is why am I not observing? Why am I not focusing on it? I need to focus on those thoughts. So when I focus on those thoughts, I try to solve those thoughts. So
that's right. That's
first
right.
step is, why am I not focusing? The second step is where everything gets mad. I get a lot anxious. So when I get into solving those problems, I get mad. First step is just, why am I not focusing on it? I think that's the tension you're talking about. Why am I not?
Yeah. So that's right. So let's just look at that. So where do you experience that?
In my body?
Yeah.
I try to I tried a lot to understand this. I'm really sorry. I couldn't have the answer.
Okay.
I honestly, like, I can feel a sense of dropping sensation in my legs. I actually told that you before. Whenever I have those thoughts, I feel something is going down, and I was that's what anxiety is. So I don't know. But
what's interesting to me is that when you talk about, you say when I have those thoughts, you do this. You say, when I have those thoughts, you point to your head. When I have those thoughts. So are you not experiencing the thoughts as though they're in your head?
Sure. Yeah. Now they're circling in my head. Yeah, sure.
Good. So that's all I mean when I say where is it? It's the thoughts. You're experiencing them in your head. Yeah. Okay. So pay attention to the different qualities of the experience. So you just allow those thoughts to be there. Whatever thoughts are in your head right now, just allow them to be there. Mm-hmm. Thoughts are happening, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then notice that you can choose to pay attention to those thoughts in different ways. So there you can just allow the thoughts, which is this kind of open focus where you're not grabbing them, you're not doing anything with them. They happen, they go by. That's it. You don't do anything with them. Can you experience that? Thoughts just happen.
Thoughts just yeah, they do happen. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I don't put an effort into that. Yeah, surely.
That's right. Now there's another way that you can do it, a different quality, which is that you can try to focus on the thought and solve it.
Yeah, that's what I've been
So
doing a lot.
that's right. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. So notice the difference, switch between the two and just notice the difference. Notice how you do each. So first, open, focus, don't do anything with the thoughts. Just be relaxed in your head and the thoughts are there and you don't try to do anything or focus on any of them. They're just there.
Mm-hmm.
And now try to focus on a thought, try to solve it, do something with it, chase it around, try to grab it, pin it down, resolve it.
Yeah, it takes a lot of effort. Yeah.
Good.
Second one.
So just that's all I'm really saying is that's it. That's the effort is the tension that I'm talking about. It's subtle.
What if the thought says, okay, I need to like do something about it, or I know it's this is really subjective, but in my experience, I have a lot of like mental compulsions, not physically. I might not
Yeah, sure.
wash my hands, or
Yeah.
do a lot of that, but mentally there are a lot of compulsions. I don't know if we can like reveal it here, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know. Yeah, sure.
So mentally I have like 10 to 20 types of compulsions running around at the same time. So it one thing or the other comes up, and I don't know, I have to be in a situation where I have to focus on those, and if I don't do that, I don't know, because
Yeah, well,
I don't know
that's
the
the
solution.
key.
I don't know the
That
solution.
that's right. And so what you just said, if you don't focus on those, you say, I don't know. That's
So
what you said. If I don't focus on those, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah. So we're always trying to focus on them. That's the nature of the compulsion. Is that it says its claim is focus on me, solve me, because I'm going to solve this problem. And then what's the problem? Well, the problem is that if you don't focus on the compulsion, I don't know.
Okay.
Right? If I don't focus on the compulsion, I don't know. But the sense is that I don't know is something scary. So for me, I don't know. I mean, it would, if I would try, like I said, to restrain myself from washing my hands and counting to 12, then this feeling would build up and the pressure would build up, and the I don't know became terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was a sense of, if I don't do something, if I don't indulge this compulsion, if I don't focus on it, if I don't obsess, to me, the obsession and the compulsion are the same thing. They're both just the focus. Your attention just goes to whatever it is, and it's a way of trying to distract from this feeling that's unwanted. It's the feeling of I don't know, and it's scary. Something bad might happen, and it's scary. And so the compulsions, that's their nature, is they're going to continue to say, pay attention to us, focus on us, we're going to solve the problem, and if you don't, something bad will happen. And after how, I mean, it's been years now, right?
Yeah.
So after years, you've been, after these years, you've been doing this, and it hasn't solved the problem. So what I'm saying is, it's time, I think, I mean, I hope, at least, it's time for you just to look and be willing to allow this feeling without fighting with it. Because when there's a difference, again, when I would try to restrain myself and say, don't wash your hands, don't count to 12, I was using more effort to restrain the effort. So I was making two efforts now.
Can you repeat that again? I didn't get that.
Yeah, okay. So I was making the effort, the usual effort of focusing on the problem, trying to solve it. Then I started using more effort to restrain myself from doing the hand washing and the counting.
Okay.
So I was using more effort now. I was using twice the effort. So that won't work. But what you can do is you can start to see the effort that you're making and start to relax that effort. So the effort is, like I said, it's the focus on the thoughts. So focus on the compulsion. And they just keep saying, yeah, but keep paying attention to me. Focus on me, because if you don't, something worse will happen. But the only thing I know to do is just to be willing to relax that effort, allow the compulsions, even though there's all this fear, allow the fear without trying to do anything about it. Just continue to relax the effort. And what I've experienced as a result of that is that I see things much more clearly, and I don't have the same urgency, and I don't, to some extent, even the obsessions and the compulsions have reduced because I've had the direct experience repeatedly of there isn't actually a problem. I don't actually need to solve it, and these obsessions and compulsions are not needed. So, but I never was able to achieve that through fighting with it. I've only been able to achieve that by doing nothing, which is the scariest thing. But in doing that, I've gotten to discover that's all that's happening is, I mean, it's obvious to anybody else, right? Anybody else who, like, if you imagine that you're somebody else looking at you having your suffering, you know what they would see, right? I mean, they would just see as a guy who's having some experience, as a guy who's having some thoughts and some feelings and some sensations, and there's no real problem. That's why other people who've never had OCD, you talk to them and they say, what's the problem? Just stop, right? So you know, if you were looking at you from the outside, that's what you would see. But when you have the experience, it's the fear that you're trying to run away from. You're trying to get rid of the fear, and it's understandable because fear prompts us to get away. But in this case, what we have to do is be willing just to take a look directly at what's happening and to experience it without indulging the compulsion. So you just relax all that effort. Imagine, you know, when it's happening, have you ever been really tired? Maybe, you know, it's that time between waking and sleeping where you're not fully awake and not fully asleep. You're conscious, but you're almost asleep.
Yeah.
And you can't make any effort. You're so relaxed. And it's very nice, and you just can't do anything.
Yeah.
And if thoughts happen, they just drift by, and you can't even make the effort to grab onto them. It's not worth it. It's so relaxing just to do nothing. So be like that when the fear is there, so that you're so relaxed that you can't even make the effort. So that there's relaxation and fear at the same time. And if you do that, then what happens is you get to discover directly in your own felt experience what other people would see, which is it's just some feelings. That's all that's happening. That's it. And there's no real danger. So there's no need to try to solve the problem because there isn't one. But as long as you focus on the thoughts, you don't give yourself that opportunity. That's the thing. So it's because you focus on the thoughts are all about solving the problem. So all you're doing is reinforcing the sense that there is a problem. So the next time it happens, again, you're going to focus on the thoughts, because you'll be convinced at a very subconscious level, there is a problem. I have to solve the problem. It's dangerous. I'm afraid. Focus on the thoughts, even though you know the thoughts are not useful, right? I mean, so it's the fear and your unwillingness to allow the fear, which is understandable, but it's that's what it is that keeps this vicious cycle going. So I believe that if you start to practice just recognizing the compulsion can't help you, the focus on the thought can't help you, relax that, make no effort at all. The thoughts are just there. You don't make any effort to get rid of them or to focus on them, nothing. If you do that, you'll notice there's fear, there's this discomfort in the body, there's a heightened intensity of experience, and you just allow all of that too. Then you're you allow, through allowing all of that, you get to discover directly, your body gets to discover, this is okay, it's safe, I don't have to try to protect myself.
Yeah. It's kind of a whole new world for me. It's very
I know.
It's very uncomfortable. It's very confusing, but I can try. I'll try to. I know you talk about process a lot. That's what you've learned over years, but I know it's not a 1 day or 1 second process. I'll try to manage. It's still, I'm still feeling those uncomfortable and still feeling those compulsions, but it's what I can say is I know that at least I'm aware of what they're doing. I know that the focus I'm putting into that is the suffering. So at least I'm aware of that. So that's at least that is reduced. But I'm still focused on that. I know that takes a little process, but at least the awareness that the focus itself is the suffering is letting me like in peace. At least 50% of suffering is reduced. That's what I can say.
That's wonderful. Yeah. And for me, one thing that was helpful, a kind of helpful image, was to have the sense of myself falling, because I've always felt is it's like falling, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? I mean, if you're falling, but it's like we spend all of our lives falling, and we're clinging to everything else that's falling. So there's a rock that's falling, and we grab onto the rock, and we think this is going to save me. But all we're doing is just using all of this effort. So see what happens if you can allow yourself to just fall without grabbing anything.
Okay.
Is that's kind of, to me at least, that's been the fear, is the same kind of fear as falling. There's nothing I can do.
Like what I completely understand what you're telling, but it's completely unknown. It's unknown territory for me to just you know what I'm talking about, right? It's completely, mind is blank when you talk about just whatever is happening, just you can't do anything about it, but it's completely blank. I know that's what you're aiming for. That's what you're aiming for, is just that unknown state of, like, if you are trying to know something, that's what is suffering you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And you also say that actually the unknown is right, because you can't know each and everything. It's actually impossible to know everything. Actually, if you're in the state of unknown, that's actually what it's humanly impossible to know everything, to solve everything. If you are in that unknown, at least you know that it's unknown, and not try to like put effort into like knowing what's happening. That's what I
Yeah,
get.
well, and again, the main point being when that applies to your own experience, because that's what we really struggle with, right? I mean, that's what I've always struggled with is, oh no, here's this feeling. I don't want this feeling. I've got to figure it out. I need to know what it is. Where did it come from? How do I solve it? What do I do? Think, 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 think. Focus, 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 focus. And that was the suffering. So to be willing just to tell the truth, which is, I don't know. I don't know what it is, where it came from, where it will go, what it means. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. And I have apparently no ability to figure that out or to do anything about it. Because I spent, in my case, about 20 to 25 years trying to solve that problem. I'm not the smartest person on the planet, but I'm reasonably intelligent, and I couldn't solve the problem. So what are the chances that I would solve the problem if I continued trying to solve it? And not very good. So I just decided, well, I'm going to try the opposite. I'm going to try not doing anything about it, taking my hands off entirely, giving my head a break, just all the tension all the time in my head, always trying to figure it out. It was very unpleasant. And then I just started to experiment with just let that go, and found out actually my experience is it's not really different than what it was before, with the one exception. Is I'm not fighting with it.
Okay.
I'm still falling, the same as I've always been falling. It's still totally out of control. I don't have the ability to control my life, but I just am not now fighting all the time and saying, no, stop falling. And to me, that's a huge relief. It's so much nicer.
Is it okay to do compulsions once and for a while? Because you can't. That's just.
Yeah, of course, but yeah, of course.
If it feels good, at least.
just all I say is just pay attention to what's happening. That's all. Just pay attention to what's happening before the compulsion, during the compulsion, after the compulsion. Because as you become aware of it, you start to see what's happening, and then you start to realize it's like when I started to see what was happening, it started to dissolve on its own. So did I still wash my hands sometimes? Yeah, I still do. Okay. People wash their hands, right? I mean, now sometimes I wonder, do I need to be washing my hands? I don't know. But I don't, it's just I was chopping food, and then I wondered, do I need to wash my hands? I don't know. I'm going to wash my hands. Is it a compulsion? Maybe. Life seems to be filled with compulsions. I get hungry, I eat, so there's a compulsion there. But it's just a matter of seeing where there's suffering in it. And in seeing that, the suffering starts to dissolve, because when I started to see that I was washing my hands, trying to get rid of a feeling, it just started to fall apart, because I could see it wasn't necessary. It wasn't going to work. I wasn't analyzing it, right? I wasn't struggling with it. I wasn't judging myself. I was just looking at what's actually happening, and I started to pay attention, and I noticed, okay, something happened. Here's a feeling. I don't like this feeling. It's uncomfortable. I want to get rid of the feeling. Ooh, look, there's a pressure building. Then I start thinking about it. Now I'm going to feel that I need to wash my hands. Then I wash my hands. I count to 12. I can feel the pressure starting to be released. But now there's another anxiety. Will I Well, I feel that I need to wash my hands again. McDonald's, oh, now I have to wash my hands again. Pressure building, pressure building. Okay, I got to wash my hands. But it's just by watching it, I could see everything that was going on, and I just started to realize it's like you're hitting yourself with a hammer every day, and it hurts. When you start to pay attention and realize I'm hitting myself with a hammer, maybe you hit yourself with the hammer less, because you just naturally, right? You just because you become aware, you say, I don't need to hit myself with a hammer. This hurts. It's the same. I'm watching myself doing this, watching myself resisting the feeling, pressure building, washing my hands, realizing this hurts and it's not necessary. Washing my hands won't get rid of the feeling. And the feeling isn't a problem in the first place. So when I started to discover that, it resolved on its own. And I think if you do the same, my guess is that you'll have the same experience just by becoming aware of it.
Okay.
And then it just starts to dissolve on its own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm very happy to hear that it's, I mean, so 80-90%, that's impressive. Even if it's just 1%, I mean, I'm happy to hear.
That's for sure.
And
50% is for sure. That's because before that I was like indulging in a lot of compulsions, and I didn't know that I was putting in effort into that. Now that I know that at least I'm putting effort into it, I'm just easing it out. That's what I can feel. I can feel less anxiety. But before that, oh my God, I was like 20 to 30 different thoughts at the same time, and I was having high heart rate, like 7. I don't know. Even when I'm sleeping, I don't know. I thought I would die with heart attack when I'm like even for after 1 or 2 years. That was the intensity of my suffering. I was feeling a lot of heart like ache here on the left. I thought that is it. I'm dying. So at least that is reduced. So yeah.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
And I hope it continues to improve. Good. Anything else?
As a fun, I think that's it.
Okay. Good.
Like last one more thing. You talked about indulgence, right? Indulging. For example, masturbation and porn. These are very. Again, it might be the same thing, but like even in my teens, I have always been addicted to this masturbation thing. So do you think it's the same thing here? Like I was trying to make my feeling better by getting into this.
It's hard to say. I mean, I couldn't know because only you could know that. Mm-hmm. You could take a look and see.
I think that's it. I was thinking that this could make my experience better, and I would. Why can't I afford to make my experience better when it's available in my hand? So that's why I would indulge in that. So that's what usual experiences. What I've had.
Yeah, I mean, it's natural for young men to have high, a lot of sexual urges.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I said, I have no ability to know, but definitely don't encourage people to try to restrain anything, because that just turns into more suffering.
Because people say that, okay, I didn't masturbate for six months, 1 year. I'm fine. I'm actually much healthier. I'm much more attentive. I'm much concentrating more. There are a lot of stories, like I've heard of that. There are people talking on this on YouTube. So there are young, like I've been masturbating 3 times a day, and now for 1 year I didn't even masturbate once. And I don't know if it's true. It's actually impossible. So they talk they talk that, but do you think you say that that's also suffering? It's restricting your urges and.
I think just to be aware is more useful.
I know that was one more question I forgot. Can you be more specific on awareness? How can I build my awareness? Because that's what is my thing. I'm not aware of my tension. I'm not aware of how I'm dealing with these thoughts. And
yeah,
can you be more like how can I?
But that concern is always about the past and is trying to protect the future, right? So you say I'm not aware of. What you really mean is I wasn't aware of. Yeah.
What I meant to say, I was not aware. How am I indulging in these thoughts or the?
Yeah, but what I mean is if that concern is always about the past. It's not about now.
Yeah.
Because right now you actually have the ability, if you focus on those thoughts, which are about the past, then you're not giving your attention directly to what's happening. You understand the difference? So when you notice that you're giving attention to that thought of I'm not aware or I wasn't aware of whatever, anything, whether it's thoughts or blinking or anything, if it's whatever it is, just notice that you're putting effort into focusing on this thought, trying to solve the problem. Problem is I was not aware. I should be aware. I need to figure out how to be aware so that in the future I'll feel better, right? So it's this big story that is useless because it can't actually work and it can't help you. But what you could do then is you notice the attention, the focus that you're giving to those thoughts, relax that focus. And by relaxing the focus, you'll naturally be more aware of what's happening, right? So you just said, we talked about these two different ways that you can give your attention or experience the thought. So one is open. So you're aware, right? You're aware because you're aware of all of it. You're not focused on it, but you're aware of it. If you focus on it, you're just chasing that thought. You're mesmerized by it. You're not aware of anything else, just this one thought focused on it. Both are useful, but if you live your whole life more or less chasing these thoughts focused like that, then you sacrifice the awareness of what's happening. So all I'm saying is when you notice that you're focused on a thought, trying to solve the problem of the past so that you can be safe in the future, let go of that focus. And then you naturally are aware. You're just aware of, not in any, it's not a really special experience. It's a very ordinary experience. It's just ordinary awareness.
Okay.
Like right now, if you were focused on we talk about daydreaming, daydreaming. Yeah. So a person can be daydreaming. They're sitting in a room with a bunch of other people and there's a conversation happening, but this person's daydreaming. So he's focused on his thoughts about some fantasy. And then he realizes, somebody says, "Hey, what are you doing?" He lets go of the fantasy. Now he's aware again. He says, "Oh, yeah, I didn't know what was happening here, right? Because I was focused on this one thing." But the awareness, it's just to be sitting there and be aware of everything that's going on, the sounds, the colors, the shapes, the sensations, all of this is happening. That awareness is more or less is effortless, right? You don't have to do anything for it. If you are relaxed, it all comes to you. So that's what I'm talking about when I say to be aware. It's just to relax the focus on still trying to solve the problem, then you become aware of what's actually happening right now, which is sensations, thoughts, colors, shapes, feelings, emotions. And you don't even have to give any labels to it, right? Because the awareness is, you know, it is whatever it is without the label for it. So the awareness is before the labels. You don't have to have a name for something to be aware of it. So that's all I'm talking about. It's very simple. And if you just notice when you're focused on a thought trying to solve the problem, just relax that.
Like coming back to that masturbation thing, you talked about awareness, right? Like, can you like complete that? What?
Yeah, right. So it's just the so if you're noticing that you are you have the desire to masturbate, just notice how often you might be focused on a particular thought or an image or something, right? But what if you let go of that, relax that, and then you just allow yourself to be aware of what's happening? So you're just aware of you're aware of the thoughts, you're aware of the sensations, you're aware of the feelings, you're aware of everything that's happening, and it's just much more open. The awareness is much more open. You do whatever you do. The awareness has nothing to do with what you do or don't do. It's just to be aware of the whole of what's happening, instead of just focused on a particular thought or fantasy.
So, like, is it advisable not to do at all? Because not to do it, because if I get into that, it's like drugs, right? You want to do it over and over again.
I can't say. I mean, like I said, only you could know that, and you would have to tell the truth about that. But I think to me, the awareness is key. If you just continue to relax the attention, so that then there's more awareness.
I actually experienced that, to allow that feeling and not do any compulsions, that is to masturbate. I actually felt that there is no need for masturbation.
Sometimes that'll be true, and other times it won't.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying I don't think you can apply a rule to it. I think you can just choose to be aware in the moment, and then be honest in the moment, and that's it. Because the problem with like I said, sex is a very natural thing.
Yeah.
And especially when people are younger. I mean, you're younger, so you're sort of at prime reproductive age, so it's like very natural that you would have a high sex drive. It would be, I don't think it's useful to say you should restrain that, because it would be like saying, well, don't eat when you're hungry. eat when you're hungry, but then also the thing is, some people eat when they're not hungry. Right? So if somebody eats when they're not hungry, do you say, well, don't eat? It wouldn't be helpful. It's more helpful to get in touch with what's happening now, just to have that awareness and to start to be able to discriminate between I'm hungry or I'm not hungry. So the same is, if you can relax the attention, just have this gentle awareness, you start to discriminate between I'm actually sexually aroused or I'm just trying to avoid something.
Yeah. Great, sir.
Good.
Yeah. It was actually very, very long, but it was actually very valuable for me.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I'm going to stop recording.
Yes.
And you'll be in touch. Yeah. You'll let me know how things go.
Yeah, sure.
Good.